I'm Kris.
I'm Adam.
I'm Topher.
Today we're talking about band rehearsals, and we're joined in studio by our good friend Kris Collier, who will be here shortly. As usual, we're going to have our riff of the day, and we're going to be featuring a song by local singer-songwriter Jonah Leatherman. Let's get to it. How are we doing today, guys? We're getting right into it.
Man, it feels like we've been at it.
It feels like we've been at this for like 2 hours now.
Weird.
I have gear news.
Okay.
Ooh. Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
New things. Just this week. So we're recording this January 2nd. I think we've said that a few times. But January 11th, which will be in the past, I think. Looks like PRS and John Mayer are teasing their new Silver Sky SE. So that's supposed to be out here pretty soon. I think it's coming out in pink and red.
Ooh.
Yeah. But the SE series, if you don't know, is like their basic model, which for PRS is still $800.
Still expensive.
Yeah, it's still up there.
But
in
it's
price.
you don't have to sell your limbs to buy it.
Yeah, right. And if you're familiar with the Silver Sky, it's PRS's version of a Strat.
Yeah, it's basically a Fender.
Yeah, which that's its own controversy. Another thing that's cool that I saw, you guys will be not interested in this, is John Petrucci released his Neural DSP plugin, so you can now get the John Petrucci amps and everything. If you want to use that direct. That's cool. That came out just last week. And the last thing, Topher had sent us the TC Stereo Chorus Flanger just came out as well. That looks pretty cool, but I haven't listened to it at all. Have you?
I haven't listened to it. It looked like it looked similar. They used to make a stereo chorus a long time ago. Oh, is it just reissue?
It's the reissue.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean, but it's supposed to be like one of TC's higher quality. Mm-hmm. Like it's not their basic line.
The ones that they put in those include that style looking pedal were always really pretty good pedals, I thought.
It looks very much like Tech 21 style,
mm-hmm.
I think. Yeah. But other than that, that's all I had for gear news. Unless you guys had anything else.
Not really. I feel like a lot of gear has come out recently. I can't keep track of all of it.
We've talked about quite a bit. So, problem is the last time we recorded has been between now and the last time we recorded has been Christmas.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Yeah, I think we've talked about everything that has come out, and then this is the dead time of year
mm-hmm. Yep.
for a lot of them up until probably February. I think is when things are going to start hitting again.
Yeah, I feel February, March we'll probably see a ton of gear coming out.
Absolutely. Is there going to be a NAMM this year? No, there's no winter NAMM, right?
I think they're just going to do the summer one.
Okay.
Maybe. So I saw that they were only doing one this year.
Okay. Yeah, so summer's not happening till June, so we really won't have anything to talk about until then.
What?
Okay. Oh yeah. So NAMM, National Association of Music Merchants. Okay. NAMM. So they used to, in the days pre-COVID, NAMM was the big what do you call it?
It's a music. It's
all the companies would get together in network.
Okay.
And then that was the time of year they'd also release all of their stuff because they had to sell it to the.
Yeah, it's kind of a convention. I mean,
yes.
It's more or less. There's all the brands are there showing off the stuff they're about to release. It's like
baby.
It's like
yeah.
It's kind of you've been to Gear Fest.
Yeah,
it's
in town,
Gear Fest.
So it's
yes.
No. It's but Gear Fest is a similar kind of concept, except it's a little more focused on customers and people.
Yeah. Gear Fest is for the public. NAMM is for the distributors and for if we were more famous, we might get invited to, well known. We might get invited to cover some stuff because all the YouTubers and all that.
They invite guitar magazines mm-hmm. and all those things. People who would provide coverage. It's like anything that would be a news outlet for musicians. Mm-hmm. They will invite to these things to so they can write articles and show videos on new stuff coming out.
They're also not supposed to sell anything there, but apparently that happens under the table quite a bit.
Nice.
Yeah. They talk about it most of the other YouTubers talking about it, like, oh yeah, I had to step out of the conference to purchase this from some provider or something like that.
Some person in a dark alley.
Yeah, exactly.
If anyone would like to invite us to a future one, we would be happy to come and
because we are in Fort Wayne, and it's happening in Nashville, which is not that
very far away.
Yeah, that's 5 hours. Yeah.
Oh, we can do that.
Yep. So yeah, NAMM. But point is, usually if it would happen in February, we would have all sorts of stuff to talk about because they would be releasing everything. But now Summer NAMM, the smaller of the two, it doesn't happen till June or July.
Something like that.
Because Gearfest happens in June, I think.
It happens. Yeah, so timing wise.
Yep. Cool. So we're gonna move on to our original Riff challenge with guest judge,
who will magically appear.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, so we're gonna have a guest judge for this week's Riff challenge because we're not lazy. And
I'm back by popular demand.
Actually, you're here first.
You're a premonition.
You know what? People like this appearance so much, I'm gonna come back for a full episode.
It's true. So we're joined by David Wynn, who will be a guest judge along with Topher. Put your shirt back on. All right. So this week's Riff challenge.
This is your Riff challenge. I'm just trying to find it real quick. Oh yeah. You want me to read it?
Do it.
Okay. Kris wrote this one. In a parallel dimension, Simon and Garfunkel's producer think they need to add a bit of edge to stay relevant. Feeling a little too groovy one evening, they decide to call up their buddy Dimebag Darrell to lay down some sick-ass Pantera-style leads over a track or two. I feel like you should do the honors, Kris, since you wrote this one.
All right. We're not flipping this week.
Okay.
Here we go. I call this Pantera and Garfunkel. I would like to apologize ahead of time to the family. The
Yo, that slaps! I respect it. I was waiting for some pinch harmonics.
I can't pinch harmonic for anything. I have worked on it, and I can do it if I really concentrate, but not in the middle of a riff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it was like 90% Dimebag.
Yeah.
You're 90% as good as Dimebag Darrell.
That's the best compliment I could ever hope for. All right,
Adam. Could you add some more treble though?
I tried, and my EQ ran out of room.
Oh yeah.
That was an approximation of a Randall, as much as Logic Pro would let me.
I always wanted to write like catchphrases for brands for gear, and like I had one for Randall, and it was just going to be, "We hope you like gain."
Yes. I'm wearing my Ola England T-shirt, so that Randall Satan, yes. Yeah. I need one of those. All right, let's hear what you got.
All right, what did I call this? I called this Simon and Garfunkel Take a Walk.
Yes.
And I can't shred. So we. This is it
is what it is.
It's really hard to chug over like finger picked like straight timed like guitar.
As much as I enjoyed staying true to both the prettiness and the riffing, I gotta give it to the shredder over here. Like I said, he got me 90% of the way to Dimebag.
I wouldn't call what I did shredding. I just turned up the gain. Oh. Maybe that's it.
You moved your fingers
in a quicker
in a moderately fast manner. That's
all right.
You pull the Carry King more than anything. That's
the metal zone failed me.
Sorry, buddy.
That actually was Metal Zone.
It actually was Metal Zone. Nice. Respect. Oh. All right, we're jumping right into our main topic today. We have our guest Kris Collier, who we're going to be talking about band rehearsals. And why do we have you on here? Tell us who you are and where do we find you?
Because I play drums.
A lot of drums.
No,
like a lot of drums.
I'm a drummer. I'm a drummer for 4 different bands here in Fort Wayne. So the Kickbacks, Sarek the Majestic Fuzz Beast, Decade Divide, and Soda, System of Dying Angels, which is a System of a Down tribute band.
Nice, very cool. And
very busy.
We'll be happy to link all of those in our description to our 4 subscribers.
Hey, we finally have a Kickbacks
I think
page.
we have like 12.
We have 24 actually on YouTube. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, which I think most are us. But
So if you're watching the videos, please sign up.
yes.
Anyways, let's jump into the questions.
All right. So this will be like I think a group discussion because I don't think we're just going to quiz you on this is what's happening during
And
rehearsals.
go. Here's your topic.
Yeah, exactly.
We've all kind of have a lot of experience with this.
So let's talk about preparing for rehearsals. Like, what does everybody expect out of bandmates before you get to practice?
So ideally, if you're going into a rehearsal, if it's a rehearsal, you need to know your material before you're even getting to the rehearsal. You don't want to be learning your songs at the rehearsal. That wastes so much time. I mean, of course, you're going to be learning how everyone plays it together. Like it's still a learning process when you're at rehearsal, but definitely rehearse before.
Practice.
Yeah. You got to come prepared. You got to know your part. You got to be familiar with it because, like you said, you've got to be able to put it together with the rest of the musicians in your group. For me, it does depend on the group. Some of the cover bands, we definitely want to walk in there prepared. You want to know the song. But when it comes to like writing, if you're going to have a writing session, right. Maybe a snippet through whatever platform you share music with. Sometimes with the Kickback specifically, this is original, we just jam. So there's really no preparing. But like with Soda and Decade Divide, it's here's your song for the guitar, so here's your tuning, here's the part you're going to sing, and then
I
ready.
have a question for you as a drummer specifically. I know for me, like I like to show up, especially for cover tunes. I like to have the sheets and everything ahead of time. Do you care about sheets all that much?
So it depends on the band. Mm-hmm. Decade Divide has definitely challenged me in terms of they like to be like exactly what the music is. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the 2000 emo pop punk that we play is very syncopated and intricate. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of like trying to find drum sheets and watching videos and watching live videos.
Okay.
Soda is completely different because there's a lot of songs you're already familiar with, and it's a little easier in terms of technicality.
Are you the like I know? So these two are both band leaders. Are you usually the band leader at any point? Okay. So do you put together sheets or
no?
Okay.
No, I don't know squat about music or music theory. So.
Okay, well,
these look shiny and fancy, but I don't have a clue. I book, I manage, I do all the networking for both the Kickbacks, Sarek, and Soda. Decade Divide's kind of a shared thing, but mainly Walker and Ryder do that. Okay,
cool. So, I know, like you said, some of your groups will do like strict to the music. Do you guys like how in depth do you go, or do you generally like do loose stuff?
Soda's a tribute band, so we try to get it like right on,
right spot on.
So it's like when we perform, it's we're wearing makeup. We are System of a Down.
Nice.
So like the music has to be pretty much authentic. Decade Divide is pretty authentic. 90% hit is pretty good because it's not a tribute band, but it's we do dedicate ourselves to the craft. The Kickbacks, we do a lot of our own stuff. We'll take a song and make it our own. We play, like, for instance, one of my favorites, we play Imagine Dragons' Radioactive. We completely, like, hard rock, almost metal it up. And there's actually a video of that somewhere. It's called Radioactive, where we played it at Pierre's. Sarek is a completely blues jam band, and everything she turns inside out and makes it her own thing. So it really just depends.
Gotcha.
It feels like if you're playing like specific music, like a tribute to exact covers, that does require, obviously everybody's got to come in knowing everything, rather than if you're kind of just playing with songs and doing your own thing with them, or if you're doing original music, then obviously it's
right.
Let's take this pop tune and turn it into a bluegrass jam. Yeah.
I would never do that.
Never.
Yeah, no, never.
What about you? You guys kind of go back and forth. I know, so I've heard you guys do pretty, I wouldn't say strict covers, but you guys go back and forth between fairly strict covers and fairly...
We stayed close to what the sound is, but we're definitely not strict. We're learning the basic chord structures and then making it our own, mainly because I'm not as technical as some of the other members of my band. So.
Fair enough. I don't... maybe it's just me. I don't think technicality has a lot to do with it, because I know there's definitely stuff where, like, we definitely have the technical ability to play it. At least, when we do Heartache stuff, but sometimes it's like, well, that might not be the point. Like, sometimes we're just having fun.
It's a good start.
Yeah.
Like, if everybody recognizes especially if you're gonna do a cover, you recognize, okay, this is the song. Now, how do we want to turn it into ours? Like, if you're doing that, but and again, I don't play guitar, but like with tuning and chord structure, and like, do we really want to play it standard, or do we want to drop it, vocally, and like, are we going to play it to the T? What parts are we going to flip around?
I think one thing that's kind of important to decide for all that is what is the major identifier for the song? Like, is it a strongly vocal song that catches everybody? Is it have a certain hook that's bringing you in? Because if it's just, there's no real big hook for guitar, or no instrumental piece that's really out there, then more than likely it's going to be the vocals, and you have some freedom with how you're building your song.
Oh, so you got to find that part that people will hook onto and be familiar with. And with Radioactive, it's that way. The intro is completely like, you have no idea what's coming, and then once the first verse hits and you hear the lyrics, and you're like, whoa, like, I know this song, and people start singing because they know the song, but we completely hard rock it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that made me think of, like, what if you were to do, like, Smoke on the Water without the guitar hook?
Oh.
Like, that's immediately what I thought. Like, that would be so left field for the audience to hear.
Out there.
Yeah.
I know for at least for our band, for the Heartache, like a lot of the covers we choose are kind of not stuff that fits in our style, so we're not really generally being true to them. But I do think you do have to listen for, you're right, like hooks, like specific things that always catch somebody's attention. A lot of times that's vocal melodies for us.
Yeah.
But
It's usually a lot easier with like guitar solos. Those are usually identifiable. The chorus is always identifiable. That's usually like the hook part of it.
Yeah.
If people don't recognize the verse because they don't really know the lyrics, and all of a sudden you get to the punch of the chorus, and they're like, oh, I know this song. Yay. Let me sing along.
I think that might even be a good experiment sometime, to have a cover of, like, where the verses are entirely left field, and then just come back on a real hooky chorus.
We actually, our encore when we do covers for the Kickbacks is we do Sweet Home. So if you've ever seen us, everybody's always like Free Bird. So we do Sweet Home Alabama, but in the midst of it, with a lot of help from friends, we throw in Vanilla Ice Baby.
Nice.
We throw DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, the theme song. We throw in Under Pressure, Bowie. Goodness, what else? I don't even know the artist, but
Do you ever
To the
put
window,
that-
to the wall.
Little John.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a brief, but everybody recognizes all those things,
Mm-hmm.
and it's born out of the root from Sweet Home, and it's different every time we play it. So that's one of the things. We don't rehearse that song. We've never rehearsed that song. It literally was somebody kept yelling Sweet Home at us, or Freebird at us, and Eric came back and started tinkering. He turned around and said, "Hey, just go with it."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Okay, we don't know
In true
Freebird, dude.
fashion.
What are you doing?" And then it became Sweet Home, and then it grew into that whole medley out of like, I know this other song, and I know this other song. I think Kid Rock's in there. We got a Kid Rock. I mean, there's
Yeah.
literally like it turns into like a 13-minute medley for us, but it's a good time. Everybody loves it.
Nice.
chord changes fit.
Zero
fit a lot of
rehearsal.
stuff.
And
Zero
it's always
rehearsal.
different.
Awesome.
And if the illegals show up, we play the whole Freebird or whole. I keep mixing them up. The whole Sweet Home, like all 4 chorus, all 4 verses, the whole thing. So it becomes like 16 minutes.
Jeez, that's awesome. That does bring up a good point, though. I mean, that brings us back around to like you said. That one's entirely just jammy. Like that.
It is,
That
it is.
one's not rehearsed at all.
Sometimes we play the first 2 verses and we move on. Sometimes we play the first and the third. Just depends on what Eric remembers while we're
Gotcha.
playing.
Yeah, understand. Definitely get it. Yeah, the one thing that's been weird for me moving from like large wind bands to like rock pop bands, like it's always weird because when you're in a large wind band, they'll do like, we're just gonna rehearse these 2 measures for like
Oh.
10 minutes straight.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been a part of a group that does that unless it's been like a real speed bump in the song. Like we get to it and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, let's go back to this, bridge right after here, and then let's run that for a second. Decade Divide specifically, the one thing I will say they go over is harmonies. So a lot of times when we get through the song, musically is fine. Maybe they might say a few things about notes or whatever, but then they're like, let's go through this chorus where we have harmonies and let's work out our parts and then do that. But
Okay.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So, question for you then, Adam.
Yeah.
So, like, I am the least vocal person, musically vocal person here. Like, when you guys do, I know, like, you and Leo work out harmonies quite a bit. Like, do you guys, like, generally, have you done that in the past? Have you done that during rehearsal or, like, with the full band? Or what's easiest for you guys when you rehearse
when
this?
she does sing with us, yeah, we rehearse before band practice, like just because it's both here. So.
Just using, like...
Usually just an acoustic guitar or
Okay.
something quiet so we can sing to it, and part of that was we did the ukulele stuff together, so
Right.
so I think it's easier sometimes to rehearse vocals, especially trying to get a tight harmony when there's not when there isn't drums and like loud stuff going on. Like if you can just have a clean guitar or something that's not obscuring
Yep.
you.
They'll play
Yeah.
just like a simple chord, I'll keep time, and then they do their 3-part harmonies.
Especially if it's like tight harmonies where you're like
Yeah,
like
you're
close
trying
thirds
to-
and stuff like that.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Cool. Any comment?
I don't know.
Okay.
So-
I don't know what I do. Amy does all the cool harmonized stuff. I just sing.
So that's...
I don't know
She
anything.
just has to like,
Yeah.
okay, this is
But-
where he's going.
So that's the opposite, right? So you guys do that during rehearsal, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Though, if we throw back to Zollinger days, Colton and I we'd walk around singing. Like
Okay.
not even guitars. Like we would definitely practice harmonizing just vocals.
Just vocal stuff. Okay.
See, Soda is a lot different because it's tribute, and Jeff and Don both have their parts. They know exactly, like they can pull up a video of System of a Down, and they know, like, I'm Serge and I'm the other guy. I don't know.
I only know Serge.
I know. I know. I'm Darren. Apparently, I don't. No, he's Darren. I don't know. Anyway, so they know their parts right away. So like, Decade again has 3-part harmonies, and sometimes it's because it's a cover band. It's like, hey, you're singing this song, so you got to know all the verses and everything, and hey, you're singing this song. The most tricky one we have was we have done this together. We do Sum 41's Fat Lip.
Okay.
So if you ever watch the video, like all 4 members say something, and it's just a quick rap during the verses. So like I might just get up and shout like 3 words, but I have to time it. So we had to rehearse that one. Otherwise, it's come to rehearsal. You know your parts. Let's see how it fits together. Let's tweak it, and then move on.
Okay.
This is a kind of a fast one, but how long do you think a band rehearsal should be? Like, because there's that, you have that like golden window where things you can be focused, and at what point does that taper off to like we're just kind of?
I've honestly, I couldn't really answer that question. I feel about 2 hours is like the sweet spot because it just depends on what you're prepping for. Decade Divide, we have like 6 hours of music, but obviously we only play 4. So Ryder does a good job. He'll present like the 16 or 18 songs we're going to rehearse this week, and it depends on the show. So like we're going to play 70s, 80s, 90s. We're going to play 80s, 90s, 2000s. Or what are we prepping for? So that's got to be in your mind. The Kickbacks, and I told you before, in 2021 we probably had 4 rehearsals. But we were always playing out, so that was like, why have a rehearsal if you just played it like last weekend? That's not, the only time we really had rehearsals was, okay, we haven't played these songs in a while, and we're going to open for Shallow Side at Rockstar Lounge, or we're going to be at Pierre's this weekend, so we want to make sure we're actually 100%. So it's just more of a, what do you got coming up? I mean, Sarek, we rehearse every week, but we haven't played out in about 2 years, and it's a lot of fun. We jam. We get about 15 songs in, and then next thing you know, we're just sitting around talking and just enjoying each other's company. So
kind of about the purpose of the rehearsal, right? Whether you're focused because you have all these shows lined up and you have to know specific material, or if it's just like getting together to play music. I kind of look at for me, that I always think of it like a band. Is this like a band practice, band jam, or is this like a show rehearsal?
And I like 2 hours is right about it. I mean, I feel like as you're building your rehearsal and you're together the first hour, you have a good time. You're getting into the business of things between 1 and 2 hours, and about 2 hours you're like, okay, all right, what have we accomplished what we want to accomplish? Like, how long are we dragging on? And for me, I'm busy, so like it's very. And going back to the very first question, like come prepared, come ready to go, because I can't sit here and watch you guys work your parts out when I could be doing other things with not just my life, but just band and music and prepping for other things. So very, very tight schedule.
Yeah, I think I would agree with 2 hours. You guys?
Yeah.
For sure.
2 hours, no longer.
Feels like it always kind of
no more.
You've heard it from the panel.
Yes.
So when we get that takes us to another good question actually. So when you get past those hours of the golden opportunity, or even during it, like sometimes rehearsals go off the rails.
Yeah.
What do you do if a rehearsal is going off the rails, or if you're off track, or you need to and you just have to get everybody focused?
Depends on the band for me. So going one by one, but the Kickbacks, I'm pretty much the leader of the band, and I'll just tell them, like, guys, let's we got to keep going. This is what we want to accomplish today. Let's get through this, and we can hang out and do whatever you want. Sarek, it's always I let them lead, and it just depends on how much they want to play and how much they want to hang out. Like it's just like there's really no, like, once it's off the rails, it's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Soda, we run our set. We've been doing it long enough now, and usually every week it's 90 minutes worth of music. We'll come to rehearsal, set up 90 minutes worth of music, and then we're done. Decade Divide, again, it's always prepared, and like, here's the songs we're going to run. Ryder has to work usually thirds, so like it's 6:30 to 8:30, and then
That's it.
you better get it in because he can't get it finished. And he usually puts us back on track if it's just like, guys, I got to work. So that's always in our mind when we're rehearsing. So it really just depends. But with the Kickbacks, again, we don't rehearse often, but I always have to bring it back to like why we're actually here. Hey, we want to get through these songs because we're preparing for our XYZ show. We were preparing, like at one point, we were preparing for the studio or whatever is coming up for us.
Nice. Adam beats us with the cattle prod.
Sometimes you just gotta get them moving. Get that red hot poker.
I have thrown a drumstick or two at Eric. I won't lie. Even during shows, when he banters a little too much, and his dad jokes are just awful. His dad jokes are worse than an actual dad. It's so bad. So yeah, I've been known to throw a drumstick or two at him.
Yeah, I just kind of, if things are not working out right for the practice, if we're not having something that's coming up, we just kind of call it. We're like, you guys want to just hang out.
I think it does depend on the headspace too. Like sometimes I'll have a rehearsal and the guys know that, like, if I'm just in a funk, it's like, I'm doing this because it's professional and I want to get through it. But when it's done, just get the fuck out. Oh, get the GTF out, like whatever. Like I just want to be by myself, but we got to do this. But and again with Sarek, it's like it's more camaraderie. Let's sit down, have a couple drinks, and whatnot, and then play a few songs, and then see how it goes. Like her gauge is like she'll have a glass of water, and when the glass of water is empty, then we'll take another break and just whatever.
Nice.
So it does depend on the headspace. It does depend on what you're preparing for, and if it just seems like somebody's having a real off day, then you're just having an off day. You sit.
It happens.
What do you want to do?
Yeah,
For sure. I feel like for us at least at the Heartache stuff, if like we're gonna start, we haven't had rehearsals since October, when our last show was, and we're starting those again in a week.
we should say we're recording this January 2nd, so yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are. We have we've just had a rehearsal. I hope it went well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So this episode will be out the 18th. So we're 2 weeks past.
I can't. I don't even remember it. That's amazing. But yeah, for me, like knowing like not having any current gigs coming up, it's more like for me or not. It's less focused where it's just let's
Knock
work
the
on.
dust
We're going to
off.
work on new songs. We're going a little bit knock the dust off some old ones. But then like when you get to a time where you're like, hey, we've got a gig coming up, and they're expecting a 3-hour thing, and we need like 35 songs or something. Then it's hey, like guys, let's get them in order before we show up and just start knocking them out.
Personally, for me, those are the easier rehearsals, like the ones that. Because like especially like after you've been working an 8-hour day and then come to rehearsal, if you have like a very like set plan what to do, like that always seems like it just goes smoother most of the time. I think I don't know.
Well, I have written a set list for the rehearsal that we've had.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know how to. This is weird. I mean, the time
He's
loop.
trying to talk about post and past.
Basically, when we're rehearsing, I will have sent.
Oh, okay.
I will have
Like I
sent
said, like,
a set list.
Ryder does the same thing, like I said with Decade. He'll throw in our band chat. He'll be like, "Here's the 16 songs we're gonna rehearse on X date," and then when that date comes up, we pull it up like a set list. We go through it. And again, it just depends on what's coming up. Like if we haven't played our 70s set in a while, that's pretty much what rehearsal is going to be. Is all of our 70s songs.
So I'm curious from everybody here, like how much of performance do you plan at a rehearsal? Are you just practicing through a set of songs? Do you practice for like specific tribute bands, or are you doing like types of stage banter and the performance itself?
With the Kickbacks and with Jeff being, I mean, we're going on 5 years with Jeff, but he's still relatively green. I call it a script. We call it a script. And some songs that you're going to have banter, and then there's, I never want to get to a point where the banter gets awkward, and I'm like, okay, am I starting? Because I'm the drummer, and at one point it's like, do I start the song? Are you ready? Are you tuned? Like, I don't know that stuff. I don't want to start a song and the guitar's still tuning, or it doesn't even have a pick in his hand or whatever. So there are some songs where we talk about a script and having certain banter to know, like, this is the joke. This is when we're going to start the next song because he's saying whatever line he's saying.
Yeah, I don't know anything about awkward banter.
Soda doesn't really have that. I mean, it's 90 minutes, like, pedal full acceleration. Like, there's a lot of times we'll play 3 or 4 songs, like, bam, bam, bam. So there's no time. And the only part of Soda we're trying to stay away from in the banter is, if you know System, they're very politicized. So that's the only part of the show that we're leaving out of the authenticity. So it is 90 minutes of just music, and it's going all the time. Decade, they have some awkward banter. We're working on that because we're learning more music, so we can just play music. And then Sarah doesn't really talk. I have to remember that Sarah doesn't like to talk on the microphone, so I have to do, "Hey, we're Sarah," and she just plays the next song. It's okay.
Yeah.
Bless you, Amy. Thank God you came along.
Oh man. Yeah. How long do you guys usually take in between songs? Like, is it usually like you guys tune every time, or do you like try to go like?
Well, it goes back to like how much do you have prepared? Like so Soda again, we know exactly like as soon as we're done with this song, it's going right into the song. We did get to a point where like we talked about a blackout. So like with all of our shows, the sound guy and the light guy will have a blackout. Leave the stage, come onto the stage, like who's going to be on the stage now, and we've taken some songs and like changed the ending a little bit so it's a false ending, and people are like yeah, and then hype some more. Nice. Forgot the question.
How long do you take in between songs?
It depends. Decade's trying to get a little faster with it. I try and encourage the kickbacks. Most of the time, you'll notice when it comes to a live show and there's banter and there's talking, it's really hard to engage the crowd because when you talk, it's a lot different than singing, so it doesn't come out and sound right. And a lot of people, me included, when you talk, you either mumble awkwardly, or you talk too fast because you're just excited and anxious, or people aren't paying attention, so you ask them something and they're not paying attention, and you just feel like, okay, talking to myself.
It probably also makes a difference the type of venue, right? Like I'd imagine like a bar where people are sitting and having food and drinks and chatting amongst themselves versus like a venue where they're coming to see you specifically.
Yeah, that's a good point. These shows different. Again, Soda is like we're just balls to the wall. We play. It's such a large catalog that unless you're a true fan, we play songs that are B-sides. So we want to make sure we keep you engaged. Decade Divide is a lot of like dancier tunes, so we don't want to spend a lot of time bantering because we want to keep you engaged, but at the same time they got a tune and get a drink or whatever. The kickbacks, I don't know, I just have this, it's like a spider sense or whatever, like you just kind of get to the point, it's like, okay, this is taking a little too long, let's get to the next song. And then Sarek's always like, we play, she takes a drink, she's ready for the next song.
Nice.
So it's like, she's got that down, like, all the time.
One thing I think I have to add to that is something that helps for me for talking is if there's some sort of music underlaying my talking. So like just picking just lightly playing the next song, like leading up. Yes. Yeah. Because otherwise, like just talking over dead air,
That's when it gets awkward.
it feels weird.
Yep.
I'll have to try that.
Yeah. No.
I can't talk and play at the same time though, mostly. So
I've started trying to do that. Like whenever Amy's talking, I'll start slowly playing the next song and leading into it.
That's actually a really great idea. I'm going to take some of these suggestions to heart because I feel like I'm the king of awkward banter.
I think that's just it always is awkward because unless you have like your dedicated 50 or 100 people in the crowd, you're literally having an onstage conversation with people that you don't know them, and you're trying to fill the void because you're tuning or whatever is happening on stage, and you're trying to fill some time. But again, like I said, when you a lot of bands got to realize when you are bantering, you do have to slow down. You do have to make sure that you're not dragging it on because they came to see music and not comedy. So what we might think is funny may not hit a chord with anybody out there. And again, I'll say with Eric, he says some dad jokes that I'm just like, dude, like, nobody gets that. Nobody's laughing because it's only funny to just you. Like, wah, wah. So.
Oh, man.
Those are awkward. Those are rough. All right, man, let's start the song. Come on.
Okay.
Let's just start.
That's pretty good, though.
I only got one other thing I think in here that I skipped and came back to the most unpleasant part of the band rehearsal kind of thing. Like, how do you talk to band members if they're not pulling weight or frequently show up unprepared or just they're just not.
Listen here, Topher, I'm sick of your crap. You better.
Because it's like a lot of times you're in a band and you're in a band with your friends and people that everyone gets along and like so if somebody isn't there, like it's
I was just thinking that I think with us, like the bands and the bandmates that we have that relationship to be like, hey man, you're sucking today, what's up? Is everything cool? Like, is this music related, or why don't you have this down? For those bands that are literally just professional, like, here's your sheet music. We'll see you for like 1 or 2 rehearsals because we're going to play this show, and then that's it. We may never play again. That's a lot different. but speaking to us and like the groups that we're in, I will say with Decade Divide, it's a lot more like disciplined. None of us have time to fool around, so we all recognize that. And when it gets off rails, Ryder's like, hey, I got to go to work. Like I said, he's got 2 hours and that's it. So we have to get it all in. I'm kind of the dad with the Kickbacks, if you didn't know.
Oh.
So the way that I can talk to them is both I talk to them, as equals, and sometimes I'm like, dude, man, you suck. What's going on? Like, I'll just tell them, like, straight up, I ain't got time for this. Like, if you want to rehearse and you want to do this, then come at me, bro. No. It is a lot different depending on who you're talking to.
One thing I think is important, and I think it's something you're really good at, as much as I hate to compliment you on the podcast. One thing I think you're really good at is recognizing when somebody isn't prepared versus who's just having straight a bad day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because you have those days where, like, the person's prepared, they know their stuff, and then, but like, just that they're not having something good going on in their life.
Musicians, we're all emotional beasts.
And but that's also like with the Kickbacks, for instance. Like if usually that's like during a show. Like you can recognize, like, hey, like, are you amped up? Did you drink too much? Are you did you have a rough day today and it's carrying into the show? Like, what's going on? As a drummer, a lot of times, like, if I can't get, it sounds tedious, but you see drummers like move things like a quarter of an inch. Like if things aren't in the right spot, it can throw you completely. So like for me, it's sometimes like, dude, like I'm in a tight space, or this cymbal's too close to me, or this isn't right, or whatever. So you do know the people you're playing with, and their level of professionalism, and like you all got to know what your goal is for the rehearsal. Like, are we coming in because we got a big show to prepare for? Or are we coming in because it's routine? Is this just it's another Tuesday and we're having another practice, or what is the end game for today? And that's.
I mean, I've had bands where people have come in, like it's their time to party, and like they come in drinking, and it's not easy to maintain a good focus that way, and like so there are times I've had to tell people like, hey, after we can party after, but like let's focus through this.
Yeah, but that approach again depends on who you're talking to. Like some people you've got to be very strict and very direct, and some people like, hey, dude, slow down.
Yeah, hands are so soft.
I showered today.
Good.
Yeah, I think, and that depends, right? Like, it's like, is this a rehearsal, or is this like hangout, like jam session? That's totally different.
Yeah, depends on what your end game is for the rehearsal. Are you preparing for a show, or are you just trying to make sure you knock the rust off, like the rehearsal you just had? Are you just trying to pull
rehearsal
the dust off?
Rust is gone.
So I take them into consideration when preparing the bands, or at least the Kickbacks and Soda and Decade. And Matt Regatz, who is technically our sound technician, same way. I'll work with him, and I get a lot of feedback from him. Like, what are we trying to do this rehearsal? Are we just trying to get through the songs? Like, are there any ideas we want to have? Like, I don't know the name of the song. I think it's Toxicity. Like, we get past the first, the second chorus, and we literally stop the song. Like, everybody's hyped, and then we stop the song, and it's like, no, let's speed it back up. But what are you trying to accomplish in the rehearsal? Make sure everybody's on the same page. Cool. I would just say, like, anytime you go into, you got to know what you're doing the music for, and preparedness. Like, are you doing it because you're trying to make money? Are you doing it because you want to have a good time? I mean, you got to find your motivation so that way it can carry into the rehearsal. Yeah. So, that's cool.
Yeah, nice. You want to plug anything before? I mean, you got the 4 bands we'd already talked about.
No, just
all right.
No, support your local scene.
Yeah. Want to thank Kris Collier for being here to talk with us today about band rehearsals, and we'll move on to the next segment.
All right, so moving on to our musical feature. This week we are featuring the music of Jonah Leatherman. Remember, if you are watching this on YouTube, you will have to go down and find the link to this week's featured song in the description because we don't want our feature or ourselves to get tagged by YouTube's copyright. If you are listening to this on any other platform, we'll be playing the featured song at the end.
Hey everybody, it's Jonah Leatherman here. The song that we're going to share with you on the program is called Strings. Strings is a song about processing the unconscious behaviors that manifest into our lives, often without our knowledge or consent. It was recorded at Off the Cuff Sound in Fort Wayne, Indiana on a 24-track 3M tape machine and mastered at the Boiler Room in Chicago. You can find Strings, among other songs, on my new full-length album out January 21st, available on streaming and vinyl formats. Thank you to Woodwire and Watts for having me on the program, and thanks for listening.
Next week, we'll be talking all things fuzz. Just a reminder, if you are on YouTube, to like and subscribe. And if you are on any other platforms, feel free to like us there as well. It would be great. And if you have any comments you want to leave, tell us how much you love us or how we have no idea what we're doing. Whatever you want to say. Just,
or if you want to cyberbully Topher.
Yeah. Like
Bring it.
we that'll help us decide what to talk about in the future.
Also, our Patreon is up and live. You can now help support the show for as little as $1. We have some cool stuff for different levels, but any support for the show, even if it's just a like, a share, or whatever, really helps.
So that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us on Woodwire and Watts. Until next time, tune up.
Crank the volume.
Let it rip.